Hey, greetings. Thanks for joining me today. It's a little noisy. Let me get a little further away from the little Susitna River here. I'm gonna find a quieter spot and be right back. Hey, greetings. Thanks for joining me today. As you can see, we have snow, just a light dusting, nothing horrible. I'm here in the back up here at the world famous Hatcher's Pass, surrounded by mountains, and I'm in coming down into the canyon area. I wanted to share with you today an experience from Jesse and Monica. They didn't want the exact location given, but it's the outskirts of Fairbanks where they had some issues going on. Give me just a second here. I have all sorts of obstacles to get down to the little Susitna River. Give me just a minute here to navigate this shit, and I'll get right back to you guys. So my way is blocked a little bit, so I'll just share with you guys right here. I'm not trying to go through this crap. As you can see, picked the wrong trail coming down. Beautiful area though. I mean, it's just gorgeous through here. This GoPro will serve it no justice. So Jesse and Monica, they bought a caribou cabin kit, which is like a 10 by 12 or 10 by 14. Basically, it's a shell of a structure is what it boils down to. But they had taken this caribou cabin and were insulating it and using it as a starter house. This was 2 years ago. Again, they live on the outskirts of Fairbanks proper. So anyway, they got to the point to where it was all insulated. They had their gen set up, and they were moving in the wood stove. So Jesse had gotten his buddy to help him get the heavy wood stove, gave him a ride there. They unloaded it out of his truck. They hung out a little bit, and Jesse was waiting for Monica to get off work, make it out to the cabin, and help them do their thing. And he had planned on having the wood stove set up by then and warmed up for her. Approximately this time of year. And as you can see, Alaska, I'm in some really thick stuff here if you guys want to take a look. It is very well, you can't see very far, obviously. So anyway, sorry, it just dawned on me how thick it is in here. Don't worry, I always have protection. So he's got the stove, his buddy gets it in with him, and he's lining up to where the stovepipes are gonna go through the roof. His buddy gives him a hand holding the ladder outside. He cuts the hole, gets the metal bestis in, and his buddy had to go. So he was there alone for a couple hours getting things ready. And by the time Monica got off work, it was getting on into dark. So she comes down the road, which is approximately a half mile off the main road. So she comes down the road, he sees the lights coming and whatnot. All he has going is this little lantern. She has the rest of some supplies that he needed. So they're bringing in the new stovepipe back and forth, and other supplies into their soon-to-be new home. They were getting ready to do the finalizing and, you know, shoring it up for winter times type of stuff, especially in Fairbanks. It gets fucking bitter cold up there. So on their last trip into the cabin, they had like 3 trips, you know, bringing food and whatever. They were going to be there to do their thing over the weekend. Now he's putting together the metal pipe. You know, they come, you got to click them together. 6-inch pipe. Anyone who's dealt with it knows what I'm talking about. So he's putting those together, and he's standing on the stove running the pipe up and lining it up, doing some adjusting of the stove down below because it wasn't quite right. And as they're doing that, they keep hearing this click, a real loud click. And he said it was crisp, it was a snappy click sound, and he just couldn't place it. So they thought maybe somewhere there was a weight shift that was clicking on something metal or something. They were looking around. It was loud enough to get their attention and keep their attention because it was happening at a regular cadence. The click, he said, was every 2 to 3 seconds, and it sounded like it was originating inside the structure. Now, they had just insulated it. It was Tyvek for the vapor barrier, but it didn't have any drywall up yet. So basically it was insulated and it wasn't echoing around, but it sounded like it was originating in the structure. So they're confused, and it's on in the dark now. So he keeps going, and he's still trying to figure out where's this click coming from. And Monica's got the creeps. As soon as the clicking started, she was just, something was off about it, and she didn't trust it. So they're sitting there trying to decipher what the click is going on, because it hadn't stopped. He just continued on and was ignoring it. She couldn't. She was flashlighting out the one single window they had. They had a card table in front of this single window. He said it was a 4x4 window, basically just a, you know, double paned window, no slider, no opener, nothing. And she would flashlight out every once in a while, just looking outside. He's doing his thing. He's trying to stay focused and keep her calm. And finally, she said she's seen movement outside, and she stumbles back from the window, startled. Well, Jesse wanted to assure her it's probably just a bear passing through or something, but that clicking had not stopped. That's something to remember. This whole time, the clicking hadn't stopped, and it's been about 20 minutes or so of this continuing. Every couple seconds, there's a real crisp, loud, snapping click. He goes outside with the flashlight and a gun. She stays inside. He circles around, does a couple times around the cabin. He's looking under. It wasn't raised up on pilings. It was raised up, but only to keep it level. So there was at most an 18-inch gap towards the back corner of this particular, how they had it set up in this cabin. So he's kneeling down looking, and if you're facing the cabin, he would have been off to the right hand side from the driveway, down on the lower part, looking underneath this 18-inch gap towards the corner. He was he said about 5-6 feet from the corner of this cabin. So he's beaming under there. He doesn't see anything, and he beams out, and he's beaming the tree line off. It was about, he said, maybe 60 feet to where the cut line from the trees were when they cleared the property. And he was saying he was beaming over that way, and as he was panning back towards the corner to go around the backside of the cabin and beam around to look, he noticed as the light swept, he caught a glimmer of eye shine from up at the corner, taller than him, of the cabin. So he sweeps over, catches eye shine, and this thing ducked behind. So immediately he's startled. He quarters away from the cabin to not just walk up to the corner and peek around, but he quarters away, beaming, saying, hey, show yourself, I have a gun. Now he gets around the corner to where he can see, and he doesn't see anything, but he hears movement in the trees on the opposite side of the cabin from where he's at. So he rushes around, being, you know, leery, looking around with the flashlight. When he gets to the other side and he's beaming the tree line, which is approximately almost the same distance, he said probably about 10 feet less, so about 45, 50 feet to the cut line, he saw nothing, but he heard movement going. So he figured, oh, okay, it was a bear, it's gone now, I hear it leaving. He goes back inside. He gets the stovepipe all lined up. He was a little spooked, but Monica was really spooked, so he didn't want to trigger her into freaking out. And sorry about the babbling brook behind me here. Hopefully you don't have to pee, because it'll drive you to the bathroom, that's for sure. So they're in there, and he can get cell signal where he's at, but he has to go out by the parking area. Inside the cabin, he won't get cell signal. Out at the car where they park, he gets cell signal. He doesn't know why, it's just how it worked. So he was talking to Monica, and there was some things that he needed help moving around. He had some 55-gallon drums of fuel. They had a small Toyo stove that they were going to use, and the wood stove was back up, whatever. And he realized that his drums were further up the driveway, and he needed to hand someone else to help him. He had a hand truck, but going over the rocky terrain with the drum hand truck is hard work. Big hard wheels, very stout, and 55-gallon drum of heating fuel is heavy, okay? So he's coordinating his buddy coming back. Now, hours had passed since his buddy helped him get the stove inside the cabin and whatnot. So his buddy said, give me a little bit, I'll come out and give you a hand. So he's killing time with Monica. Now, once he had flashed the flashlight and heard the noise in the trees, the clicking stopped. Because when he went back inside, she was like, whatever you did, it stopped the clicking. So they're talking, they're going on about whatever they were doing. She was unloading stuff and setting up some shelving for their pantry. This is a single room place, you know, no bedrooms or nothing. They hadn't lined any of that out yet. It's just a shell of a place, insulated, Tyvek, some outlets run. Yeah, real basic setup. And she's doing her thing, setting up the shelving, and the clicking starts again. And this time they could tell the clicking, it was outside. He said he doesn't know why. Initially it sounded like so crisp and clear in the structure, but when it started up again, they could tell it was originating outside. Monica immediately goes over to the little card table or whatever kind of table they had in front of that window, that 4x4 window, and beams out. And when she beams out, she sees a dark figure. At the distance it was, she couldn't tell size, so she assumed man, and she saw it move. And immediately she freaks out, tells Jesse there's a man out there in the woods. What the hell's going on? He immediately grabs the flashlight from her, takes his firearm, and goes outside and starts yelling at the woods. Hey, you can't be here. You're on private property. You will get shot. Not a peep, not a sound, but the clicking is continuing, and he can tell it is originating from where this figure was. He can't see the figure now because it's ducked behind trees and hiding out, but he hears the clicking. So he's assuming it's a vagrant or someone fucking around, basically. So he's pissed off, rightfully so. So he starts storming towards the tree line with the flashlight and his firearm, saying, "You show yourself before I start shooting." And just an empty threat, just to cause a response from someone. Nothing. It's dead silent. He gets about 15 feet from the trees, and he said about 10 feet in the trees, when he was beaming, he saw movement and then saw one of the birch trees sway back and forth. And he said it was about 6-inch diameter birch, not overly big by any means, but as he's watching it sway, he notices what looked like a big hand grab right in the field of view of his flashlight, grab the birch tree and snap it. And he said that it was so powerful, it shook him to his core just to see, because he's approximately 30-something feet away, sees a big hand grab a birch tree, and that's all he could see is a hand, and just snaps that, 6-inch diameter birch just right then, crack, and then it was gone. So he freaks out, runs back inside, calls his buddy. Didn't say shit to Monica. She asked what that crack was because it was loud. That birch tree snapping was loud as shit. So she's asking what happened, and he's pale white. She's trying to calm him down. Jesse calls his buddy, says, "Hey, I don't know what the hell's out here. I need your help." Buddy's like, "Hey, I'm about a half hour out." Okay, cool. Monica at this point is like, "I'm leaving. I don't want you to stay here. Something ain't right." And according to Monica, once he went out the door to go investigate the movement she saw, she felt nauseous, uncomfortable, very agitated, and sick to her stomach. Real sick to her stomach. Like, she said it came on like suddenly, like almost instantly. As soon as he went outside, she felt like she was gonna be sick. So very uncomfortable feeling for her. Now, he coordinated with his buddy to come back. He kind of filled him in on what had been going on, but not everything, because it was still kind of a fluid situation. Well, Monica says, I'm gonna wait with you for your friend to get here, but let's wait up at the road. Let's go out to the car, let's wait up at the road. He was like, no, that's fine, because she was legitimately not feeling good and freaked out. Jesse gathers up his stuff, firearm, flashlight, his cigarettes, and she went out to the car 2 steps ahead of him. It's dark now. All they had for lighting there was this little lantern on the stove, or on the table. It was run by batteries, and they were still hooking up their heat. You know, they didn't have the Toyo set up yet. They didn't have their gen set lined up to run the place or any of that, and the wood stove wasn't quite ready to burn anything in. So, you know, there was no source of light other than that lamp and his flashlight. So her being 2 steps ahead of him, he told her to stop. He beams the light so she could see. It was well on really dark. So he walks over to her door, and he's kind of looking around, and this clicking is going off in the distance. He said he wasn't paying attention for a while, but when he started listening around, he noticed the click was coming from the direction that the tree was broke, which was the way the car was parked, was pointing in that direction. So she gets in, he gets in, and he forgot the keys on the table. Had to go back in. As he's flashlighting around, going back up to the cabin, she's sitting in the car. He gets inside, and the keys are on the little table right by the lantern. So he grabs them, and something caught his eye outside, and he beamed out. He didn't see anything. He beams out, and as he's beaming, he hears a blood-curdling scream coming from Monica. So immediately he runs back out. He gets outside and is like, what? Yelling at her, and she's trying to point. So he turns the flashlight to look, and he didn't see anything. So he runs over to the car. That clicking is still going on. He gets into the car, and he's like, what the hell? What are you screaming about? She goes, it was standing right there in the open when you flashed the beam. Didn't you see it? Didn't you see it? He was like, I didn't see anything. She said, there's a big silhouette, and it was looking towards me, and then it looked over at you, and I saw the eyes shine, and then it turned and walked off as I screamed, and then you came out, and it's gone. It went into the trees over there. So he hands her the keys. They start the car. He goes, let's just go. I'll go meet my friend. We'll look into this. She goes, I don't want you staying here. You're coming with me. He's like, look, this is our place. We'll figure it out. Against her best wishes, he waited. Now, when they turned on the car, because they argued for a minute about him staying there or whatever, when she turned on the car and the lights lit up, they saw 2 sets of eyes shine about 15 feet apart in the trees, ducked behind in the shrub, and then they saw trees moving in the headlights. Just the eye shine, and that was it. Boom, boom. Whatever the figures were gone. They were getting out of the way of the light. Freak out mode. She throws it in reverse, almost gets stuck backing up and hitting the bank where they had cut in with the cat. Spun around, overcorrected, almost wiped out twice, just leaving the little parking area. She was freaked out. He was trying to get her to calm down, slow down. She's ripping up this road. I mean, hitting potholes. He said it ruined part of the front suspension. The lower control arm was warped. Just banging out of there, you know. Got her to calm down closer to the road because she wasn't going to stop. He had to, you know, like damn near scream at her to get her to stop and wait for his friend, because he wanted to figure out what the hell was going on. His curiosity was sparked. He was a little freaked out, but not as bad as her. She's sitting there. He steps out of the car with the flashlight. He's smoking a cigarette, and he's looking around. He calls his buddy again. His buddy's about 5 minutes out. He tells Monica he's 5 minutes out. I have my gun. I got the flashlight. You can go ahead and head out. I'll be safe here. Where they were was a half mile back. I got nothing to worry about. You can go ahead and take off. She was leery about it. Said, okay, he's only a couple minutes away. I'll wave at him as I go by or whatever. She goes on about her way against her better judgment. Now, after she's out of view, he can still hear the car on the road. He hears there's other cars going by periodically. And that 5 minutes passed, and his buddy still wasn't there. So he's kind of looking back down their little cut-in driveway. and it kind of arcs off to the left and then drops back down to where their cabin is. So and it's pretty straight shot for most of the way, except for a couple little bends towards the end before you get to the cabin. As he beams down his driveway, basically, he notices a dark figure almost at the maximum extent of his flashlight step back off the road. And immediately, guns back out, he's yelling, he's not paying attention to the road behind him, and his buddy shows up. So he's like, hey, the bastards are down there. They jump in, take off down their driveway, and as they're coming up, they see nothing on the way down. He was pointing out where he saw it, nothing there. They slowed down, beamed and all that. They got down to the cabin, and just as his buddy turned off his ignition and his lights, as the lights were dimming out, they noticed eye shine. So he clicked the headlights back on. Eye shine was gone. They both get out. His buddy brought his rifle and a bigger spotlight. And they go inside the cabin, and his buddy wants the lowdown on what the hell's going on. He tells him everything he's seen, dark figures, big, whatever, and his friend goes, man, that's a Sasquatch, that's a hairy man, you know? And immediately Jesse's like, bullshit, that's a dude over there. I saw a big dude. And he goes, how big? And then he goes, here, I'll show you. They go outside, both armed, plenty of light. They go over to where the tree was broke, where the birch branch broke. Where he goes, I saw it grab there and break it. Well, they walk back in there together. And the break, in order for a normal person, they would have had to been on a 6-foot step ladder and had a hand like 4 or 5 times the size of ours. And then it dawned on Jesse, holy crap, because he was looking up at this break, at how high it was, and he's flashing back to his memory of how big that hand was, and it all just clicked for him. He said it like slapped him in the face, because up until that point, it was just weird stuff. So he gathers himself, they extract themselves from the trees there rather quickly. They get back up to the cabin. Jesse grabs all the stuff he needs. They take a look around. They shut everything down. They killed the lantern. He shut and locked the door of the cabin, and they ended up leaving. That cabin still remains unfinished. He's contemplating whether or not he's going to sell it as is or finish it, but neither him nor Monica want anything to do with that property. And that happens, and that really sucks for them. Like, talking to Jesse, he's so about it. Monica, not their real names, but Monica will never, in her own words, say she will never go there again. She will never, that area, according to her, is dead to her. Yeah, unfortunate stuff, man. But let me give you guys another look around where I'm at here. Again, I'm in Hatcher's Pass. I got this this runoff. This creek goes all the way back up towards Independence Mine. The whole area here is just dense with these alders, these willows, all through here. This is the trail I came in on back up this way. Anyway, thanks for joining me, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. All right, y'all have a good one.